Welcome, everyone. If you're in the pet food space, maybe developing new products, managing a brand, you know how fast things move, you're definitely in the right place today.
Absolutely. It's a whirlwind out there.
It really is. So we wanted to help cut through some of that noise. We've done a deep dive into the latest Pet Food Insider from CPG.ai. That's for May 2025.
Yeah, CBG.ai, the consumer goods intelligence platform.
Yeah.
And we didn't just skim it. We've really dug in to pull out the core intelligence.
Right.
The goal here is to give you some really clear, actionable insights, stuff you can actually use for your strategy.
Exactly. Our mission today is pretty simple. Find the most vital nuggets about consumer shifts, market moves, what's new in innovation. Basically give you easy-to-digest takeaways for your next big decision.
Okay, so where should we start? How about the economic pressures? That seems pretty fundamental right now.
Good call. What really stood out there?
Well, the Pet Food Insider flags this Gallup study, pretty sobering actually. It found 52% of U.S. pet parents, so over half,
Wow.
have skipped or declined vet care because they couldn't afford it. That's huge.
That is huge. And it doesn't just stop at the vet's office, does it?
Not at all. It ripples right through to everything else, especially food choices, treats, even, whether they stick with a brand.
Makes sense. If vet care is a stretch, you can bet every single dollar spent on food is getting a hard look. People are going to be searching for the absolute best nutritional bang for their buck.
Exactly. Brand loyalty. It becomes way more intentional, less automatic.
So this really puts the pressure on brands, doesn't it? How do you communicate your value in this climate?
That's the core question. Value transparency isn't just nice to have anymore, it's essential.
Yeah.
You need to clearly spell out the health benefits and why your formulation justifies the price.
So maybe highlighting specific ingredients, explaining why they help.
Precisely. And maybe even framing some benefits in terms of, potentially heading off future health issues.
Yeah.
Things that might mean fewer vet visits down the line.
Interesting angle. Demonstrating real, tangible value that pet parents can understand and, frankly, feel good about spending on.
You got it. It's about building that trust through clarity.
And speaking of clarity, or maybe the lack of it, let's talk labels. That's where pet parents get their info, right?
Well, supposedly. But there seems to be a big disconnect. The Pet Food Insider pointed to a Yummypets Pets International survey.
Okay.
Get this. 88% of pet parents demand accurate labeling. Makes sense. But then 58% find the labels they do see misleading.
Over half find them misleading. That's worrying. Are there specific terms causing confusion?
Yeah, the usual suspects pop up. Natural, premium, and then various health claims. They're the ones most often flagged as, let's say, fuzzy.
It feels like maybe the industry has leaned on those words a bit too heavily. Natural can mean so many different things. And premium, what does that even mean, really?
Exactly. It feels subjective. And pet parents seem to be over the marketing speak. They want concrete facts.
So just saying regulations are tough or there's not enough space on the package, that's not really cutting it anymore.
Doesn't seem like it. The insider piece really challenges that thinking. It pushes brands to innovate how they communicate on the pack.
Like beyond just the text.
Yeah, maybe QR codes linking to deeper info, sourcing details, the science behind health claims, stuff like that. The idea is to make the label an educational tool, build trust, don't create confusion.
Right, transforming the package itself. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The Insider also highlighted a pretty interesting demographic trend, something about cats.
Yes. The rise of the cat is apparently a big theme at Global Pet Expo 2025.
Really? More cats?
Definitely seems that way, especially among younger demographics. A report mentioned growth of nearly 18%, 17.8% to be exact, among Gen Z.
Wow.
And almost 24%, 23.9% among millennial men. Those are pretty significant jumps.
That is significant. Any idea what's driving that? Lifestyle? Easier care?
Could be a mix of things. Maybe lifestyle fit, maybe the perception of cats being lower maintenance, or just, a growing appreciation for feline companionship. Hard to say for sure, but the trend is clear.
And the industry is noticing.
Oh, yeah. The Insider mentioned new functional feline nutrition lines launching, so the response is happening.
Okay, so for the brands listening in, what's the big takeaway here? If you're mostly dog-focused.
It's a pretty clear signal for 2025. If your portfolio skews heavily canine, it's probably time to seriously look at expanding or deepening your cat offerings.
And not just basic kibble, I imagine.
No, think more strategically. Health-specific formulas for common cat issues. Convenient single-serve packs cats often eat smaller portions, right?
True.
And tapping into textures and formats cats love, like those lickable treats that are getting popular. It's about meeting specific feline needs and preferences.
Makes sense. And that word convenient brings up another point from the insider, the whole delivery aspect.
Right, rapid delivery is definitely a trend. We see Petco partnering with Uber Eats, PetSmart doing similar things. People want speed and ease.
But it's not just about speed, is it?
Well, that's the nuance McKinsey data brings in, which the insider included. Speed matters, sure, but delivery cost, transparency about when it's coming, and flexibility, those are just as critical, sometimes even more so.
Okay, so just being the absolute fastest isn't the whole game.
Not necessarily. It suggests convenience is broader than just sheer speed.
It's the whole package deal. The entire delivery experience needs to work smoothly.
Precisely. Convenience is a great way to stand out, but it demands a holistic view. Efficient last-mile management, yes, but also clear communication, reliable tracking, easy returns. All that stuff matters for the customer experience.
Got it. Okay, another big area that keeps coming up everywhere, and the insider touched on it too, sustainability.
Yes, can't ignore that one. Environmental responsibility is huge now. The piece cited a February 2025 survey.
What did that find?
It found 86% of consumers are more likely to buy from brands they see as genuinely sustainable. 86%.
That's massive. So this isn't just a nice to have anymore, it's actually driving purchase decisions.
Absolutely. It's moved from the margins to the mainstream.
Which means just slapping an eco-friendly label on the bag probably isn't enough for savvy shoppers today. They want proof, right?
Exactly right. Consumers are looking for tangible evidence. Sustainability needs to be woven into your operations, and you need to communicate it clearly.
Like how?
Things like transparency in ingredient sourcing. Maybe highlighting regenerative agriculture practices if you use them. Using clear, verifiable eco-labels. Showing, not just telling.
So authenticity is key. Demonstrable actions build that trust and can actually be a competitive edge.
Definitely. It's about making your efforts visible and credible.
Okay, now shifting to a more critical topic.
Yeah.
Calls the insider addressed this too, and it's obviously super important.
Extremely important. And unfortunately, recent recalls like those involving Blue Ridge beef and Wild Coast mentioned in the report are stark reminders of the potential risks.
And what did the insider suggest was the main issue there? Process.
It pointed towards a potential industry weakness, sort of a lack of coordinated, real-time recall processes. Existing systems might not be fast or integrated enough for these critical events.
Which is scary because when a recall happens, speed and clear communication are everything for protecting pets and brand trust.
Absolutely paramount. The experts highlighted in the piece recommend things like cloud-based platforms for better data management and traceability.
Makes sense. Centralized data.
Right. And setting up centralized communication channels so the message is consistent and fast. Even running recall simulations, like practice drills, to find weak spots before a real crisis hits.
Proactive, not just reactive.
Exactly. Having a recall-ready framework backed by integrated tech is really becoming a sign of a leading, responsible brand. It builds that crucial confidence.
It's interesting, too, seeing how the big, established players are navigating all these shifts. The deep dive mentioned Hill's Pet Nutrition.
Yeah, that was an interesting case study. Even though their parent company, Colgate-Palmolive, stepped back from private label, they're still clearly confident in Hill's and investing heavily.
What kinds of investments?
The insider highlighted strategic pushes into wet cat food, tying back to that trend we discussed, and also formats specifically for small dogs. Plus, they're boosting their factory capacity. It suggests they see big opportunities in those specific areas.
So it looks like they're really leaning into that premium health-first positioning, maybe adapting to how consumer behavior changed, post-pandemic?
Seems that way. It really underscores that all brands, no matter how big or established, need to keep analyzing the market and tweaking their strategies.
Constant adaptation.
Pretty much, yeah. You can't stand still.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. For everyone listening, the brand managers, the product developers, the innovators, let's try to boil this down. What are the key actions they should be thinking about right now based on this deep dive?
Right, let's crystallize it. First, labels. Really take a hard look at your packaging. Are those claims truly simple and easy to grasp? Can you cut out some of the marketing jargon?
Prioritize real transparency.
Exactly. Think of that package as an educational touchpoint, a way to build solid trust.
Okay, what's next?
Cats. If you're heavily dog-focused, Now's the moment. Seriously, evaluate rebalancing your portfolio. Think about innovative cat products targeting specific health needs, textures they like, convenient formats.
Don't miss that growing market. Got it. Third.
Recall readiness. This isn't optional anymore. Look into integrating cloud-based systems across your whole supply chain. It's not just about compliance, it's about showing you're serious about safety. That builds immense confidence.
Essential for reputation. Okay, fourth point.
Sustainability storytelling. But make it real, make it visible. Show where your ingredients come from. Talk about your manufacturing, your packaging choices. Be transparent. Consumers are looking for this, and they'll reward it with loyalty.
Make it tangible.
And finally, smart convenience. Remember, it's more than just speed. Streamline your fulfillment, make returns easy and clear, provide good tracking. That smooth, reliable experience, that's a huge part of keeping customers happy long term.
Right, the whole end-to-end journey.
Precisely. It all contributes to loyalty just as much as the product itself.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive into the May 2025 Pet Food Insider, it's clear the landscape is really shifting, isn't it?
Definitely. We're seeing these major themes. Changing pet parent priorities, often driven by economics.
The big rise in cat ownership.
The constant demand for trust and transparency, especially on labels.
And these growing expectations around convenience and genuine sustainability.
Yeah. And importantly, these aren't just like passing trends. These feel like fundamental shifts with real tangible impacts for businesses in 2025 and likely beyond.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought to leave everyone with.
Okay.
As this pet food landscape keeps evolving so quickly, the real question is, how will your brand not just, adapt and keep up, but actually lead in meeting these new expectations? How will you build those deeper connections with today's pet parents?
That's the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. Definitely something to think about as you revisit your strategies in light of all this.